All right. Welcome to the Next Right Step podcast. This is our first initial inaugural episode.
Let's go.
With me, David. I am, of course, Christian. And today we are going to talk about the moment everything changed. Uh, really, it's the kind of the moment of clarity, surrender, and kind of what led to that moment. So, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
What brought you to a place where you knew something needed to change? What brought you to those first few?
So, the first time I got clean, was some years back, and yeah, it was kind of a lot of things that had built up on top of each other that kind of led to that point. I had watched my best friend die in front of me, which was a situation that I had contributed to, that put us in that situation of danger, and that hit me pretty hard, and so I spiraled out really hard before that or after that. Like hadn't done like a lot of things like before I admitted for the first time I was an addict. Like there was these lines that I wouldn't cross, and I would use that as like validation of me not having an issue. Like I've never been homeless, so I'm not really an addict because I'm not homeless, and I crossed all of those. And I remember it was my mom's birthday. It was her 50th birthday, and she wanted to go to Vegas, have the family go to Vegas. So everybody flew to Vegas except for me. I drove because I'm an addict. I can't fly to Vegas. That's crazy. That's 2 hours without my stuff. So I drove, and I just remember I was staying in the Venetian Hotel, and it was this nice hotel room with like golden sinks and granite countertops and just a beautiful hotel room. And I'm shooting dope, in this place on my mom's birthday. And it was just like a moment of clarity for me. I was like, man, I'm basically trying to kill myself at this point. Like that's what I'm going for, and I just can't seem to do enough dope to do it. And my mom and my stepdad have both been in recovery for a long time, and so I always knew that there was something that people were doing out there, that could help. And so I remember I thought to myself, like, okay, I'm going to finish this trip, and then I'm going to go figure out what I need to do. So when we got back to Portland, I called my mom, and yeah, we just went from there. Luckily, there was resources, and then started getting clean. So yeah.
And that was your first time or your second time?
That was my first time. Yeah, the second time, so I had relapsed, and the second time was a lot more intentional because, there's this saying, like, if you have a head full of recovery and you go out using, like, it's not fun. And it's so true. It's not. So I was miserable the whole time I was using the second time, and there's, this the new stuff that's out there is ridiculous and crazy and can kill you so fast, and it's so dangerous, and it's just changed the whole drug game is different now. At least in my opinion, it's different than what it used to be like. And so I remember the night I got robbed for $600 from like the only person I considered a friend at that point because I was so isolated. I never saw anybody. And there was one kid that I knew from years back that I would still communicate with because he helped me get stuff. And he ran off with $600 of mine. And then I spent another $350 on basically fake shit, like almost fake shit. It was like cut to that point. And I remember I was just sitting in my room. I was so miserable. And for months up to that point, too, for months, I would wake up and I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not using today. I'm going to figure something out. And I would keep using. And I just could not. I just couldn't do it. And I don't know, there was nothing different about that day really. Like there wasn't too much different. Like it was the same kind of routine, like get up and I was like Link and Zelda, just going on my little side quests to fucking, you know, get what I needed to get. And it was the same kind of day, you know. But yeah, it was just that clarity where I was sitting there like, fuck, I need to do something. And luckily I had a job with insurance. And so I checked myself into Kaiser, the emergency room. I went to the emergency room and I told them like, hey, I want to get clean. They're like, all right, come in. And so like an hour or two later, I saw the doctor. This is like, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night. And the doctor's like, well, when's the last time you used? And I was like 7 o'clock. Like it was like 3 hours ago. He goes, okay. And he's like, well, you know, it's like fentanyl has a shorter, you know, time or whatever. He started saying some technical stuff and he's like, you're showing all the signs of being in withdrawal, so I'm gonna give you a Subutex. And in my head, I'm like, don't do that. That's a bad idea because, you know, if you don't know, like taking that too early puts you in like a worse withdrawal, and it shoves you into it instead of like you need to wait until you're in withdrawal, then take it, and then it helps. But I'm an addict, you know, so if you put a pill in front of me, like I'm gonna take it, you know. And so I remember I told him, I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. And he's like, no, you look fine. And so he gave me, and I took it, popped it in my mouth. He had me sit in the hallway for like 20 minutes. He gave me another one, popped it in my mouth. So I took 2 at this point. And another 20 minutes after that, he's like, well, how you feeling? And I was like, I don't know. You know, I feel kind of the same. And he's like, all right, well, I wrote you a script for subs and you know, good luck. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm walking out and I go to the front desk and I'm like, hey, I got this prescription for subs. Like I need to pick them up. And at this point it's like 11 o'clock. And she looks at me weird and she's like, no. She's like, the pharmacy's closed. Like you got to come back at 9 a.m. And get these. And I was like, you don't understand. I'm not lasting until 9 a.m. Like that's not happening. I need these like now. She's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, all right. So I walked out of the hospital and I get to my car. And as soon as I like touched the door handle of my car, it just hit me all at once. Boom. I'm like in real bad, throw up a few times. I can barely see. I'm so blurry. And I'm not thinking straight. And I have dope in the car. And so I get in the car and my dumbass hits the dope. That makes it way worse. And so I throw up a few more times.
Self-medication for the win.
Yeah, I was like, you know, this might help. And then it was like, no, it felt like, you know, when you're playing Operation and you hit the side, and it's like,
Yeah.
That's what it felt like in my body as soon as I hit it. It was like, that's a bad idea. And so I was like, okay, I'm going back in there. So I walk back into the emergency room. As soon as I go back in, the lady at the front desk is like, holy shit, you should not have left. Like, you look real bad. She's like, come back in right now. And so I went back in and I waited for a while. And the new doctor was like, what did you do? And I was like, well, he gave me 2 subs after like I used like 3 hours ago. And they're like, why would you take those? And I was like, it was a doctor, you know, why did you give them to me? You know? And I remember that second doctor was like, well, tonight's going to suck real bad. And I was like, yeah, I know that. And then, I'm super grateful though of that because that detox was so bad. Like it still feels like it was yesterday. Like I was watching movies where I'm pretty sure what happened or what I saw is not how the actual movie happened. Like I'm pretty sure like Men in Black International has a whole different plot story than what I think it does. But yeah, it's like anytime that I, you know, nowadays like think about using like that those like 3 days pop into my mind and it's like, yeah. And I remember too, so that first moment of clarity was sitting in my room, like I'm going to check myself into the emergency room. But then also I checked myself in voluntarily and I got thrown into early withdrawal. So the second night, the first night I was way too sick to even think straight, but I felt like the worst piece of shit of my life. Second night was really bad. And at this point they had moved me up to a regular room. And so I had the nurse call button And I remember it's like 4 a.m. and I'm feeling like shit. And I remember sitting there like, all I have to do is press this button, because after the first 2 subs, they were giving me bupes after that. So I like, there's no blocker I could use if I wanted to. And so I was thinking to myself, like, I could go use right now and feel better. You know, all I have to do is hit this button, tell them I want out, take this stuff out of me, and I'm good to go. And yeah, that like working my second and third step, that moment and that night, it was a big part of that, because like, I don't believe I could have not pressed that button on my own, but I didn't press that button. I made it through. So that was a big moment of clarity too, like making it through that night and getting to that third day. And I was like, okay, I could really do this, you know? So yeah.
When did you finally stop feeling the withdrawal?
Probably like 3 weeks later. Yeah. Fentanyl's a sucker to kick.
Oh yeah, I've been doing a lot of jail meetings, and I see the kids coming out on fentanyl.
Yeah, it's rough.
They're bad.
It's really bad, and it lasts a long time. I would say after the first week, I started feeling like a lot more normal, and then by the third week, I was feeling pretty good. But I was only in the hospital for 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. I was gonna leave after 3, but I tore a hole in my esophagus, and so they kept me an extra day because I was throwing up blood. But the 4th day, I got out, and there's a meeting I go to, and if you can ask anybody in the meeting, like they bring it up every time I like take a key tag. They'll be like, "Dude, you looked real rough that first day. You looked real bad." And,
I do remember your stepdad told me you were gonna start coming to meetings.
Yeah,
he's like, look out for him, and I said, all right. And I remember that meeting.
Oh yeah, I was looking real rough.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say though, they gave me the I think it's called the Subutex shot, and that I hope that becomes like a widespread thing, because that thing was such a game changer for me. Because when I'm taking subs or what do they call that? Medical assisted
treatment.
I'm still in that habit of like multiple days taking something, you know, where the shot was once a month. I'd, you know, have them stick my belly, and then I wouldn't, it didn't give me any sort of change in my head or any sort of rush or any sort of difference at all. Like I felt completely normal the whole time. And then it builds up in your system too. So when you stop taking it, just naturally kind of like, I didn't notice any symptoms of coming off of it. So that I'm a big fan of that. I hope it becomes a lot more common.
So would you then, I don't want to drive the conversation down this path too far, but so you are then for medical assisted treatment?
Yeah. I think whatever keeps you clean and not on dope, I'm all for. I mean, can you abuse it? Sure, you know. And
can you?
I think people can abuse it. Yeah,
I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, I mean, you could take more than what was prescribed to you. Or I've known people that have shot up Suboxone before. So it's, you know, if you're doing that, that's another, you know, discussion. But I mean, if you get surgery on your back and you're taking pain medications for your back that your doctor prescribed you, and you're taking them as they prescribed it, I don't consider that, you know, being a bad thing. I think it's a necessity of life. And, yeah, I think whatever helps you get clean is I'm a fan of personally.
Yeah. And okay. So this next question, I think it's an important statement that I'm confident what you're probably going to say. When is your clean date, and when was it during that journey?
It was the day after I checked myself into the emergency room. Yeah. So I used that day at 7, and yeah, they were giving me medical assisted treatment, but it's the same theory to me, and anybody can have their own opinion on it. But I think like if a doctor prescribes me, you know, 800 milligram ibuprofen or whatever and I take that as prescribed, like I'm not changing my clean date because of that, you know? Yeah. So if I'm with a doctor and they think that I need something and they prescribe it to me and I don't abuse it or overtake it, then I don't consider that needing to like change a clean date over.
I also agree.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for whoever's going to hear this in the future to have that. So
It's a hot topic.
it is a hot topic.
People get real upset about it.
It's important to know that people in recovery, most people, are not doctors.
Yeah.
However, there are some doctors in recovery.
Yep.
I'm a chemical engineer. Our body is a machine full of chemical reactions.
Mm-hmm.
It makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that for me, when I first got in the room, I came by the help of some law enforcement.
Nice.
Yeah. But I remember that my moment of clarity, because I had used for a large portion of my teenage youth. And for those who know my story, it's kind of dark sometimes. But I remember, and I hope that this person hears this episode one day. We've kind of drifted apart for sure in recovery, but her and I had just drove down to Portland because I'm not from here.
Okay.
Yeah. My wife and I moved here in 2017.
From where?
Port Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, technically, it's a bit of a circle. I grew up in Port Angeles. I got clean in Sequim, Washington.
Okay.
We went to college in Pullman.
Right.
We moved here. We technically moved here from Pullman.
Gotcha.
But that's all. So all of my history is in Port Angeles. And all right, so we drove down to Portland. We picked up, came back, did the drop, and we were sitting at this dope shack. This, I guess, trap houses now, because I got my clean dates from 2011, so July 26th, 2011. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and we were sitting there around all these 60-year-old people, and we're like, we're gonna fucking die here. It's like either like we both looked at each other at the same time. We had like the same reaction, and like we had this like short discussion. It's like we're gonna die here. We're 22, hanging out with all these 50 and 60-year-olds. They're doing their stuff, and like we're either gonna die here, the cops are gonna take us out, or we're gonna end up in a loony bin. And then 2 months later, like the whole drug task force came and knocked me off my BMX bike. So, and I think for me, like I didn't really have like a lot of role models that were getting clean. I knew that 12-step programs were primarily for like you get in trouble, you go to meetings, get your slip side, go back to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just do this whole cycle. And I remember like I didn't want to do it anymore. I was 22 and I was tired and I was beat up. I'm 345 pounds right now. I was 167 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah. So like it was bad.
Yeah.
And I remember that I just didn't know how to stop. Everybody I associated with was entirely invested in this whole drug world thing. And it was, in fact, the police that took me out. And I remember that I spent the next 3 months in jail because I was a flight risk. But they put me on chain gang, and I just shoveled rock for a whole summer, building trails. And the judge told me that he was going to give me a shot. And it was either I was going to get clean in treatment, and then I was going to be going to meetings for years, or I was going to go to prison. And if I messed up at any point in those 2 years, I was going to prison.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I just wanted to, I only thought that getting off probation was, like, the goal.
Yeah. Keeping your 160-pound self out of prison.
Yeah. I was going to be an easy target. And then I kind of stuck around long enough. Like when I showed up in the meetings, like I didn't want to be here. I was young and stupid. And And it wasn't until I started seeing people that were hanging out at our house that would have been hanging out at our house, like getting clean and doing something with their life, that like that thing clicked in my head. And for me, that was like 9 months in. So like I didn't even come out swinging like you are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I was 22 coming into the ring, there's no way, man. I was real dumb at 22. So luckily, it was some years before I did my tongue. Because, I mean, my mom she got clean when I was 18 or 19. And so from 19 until, when did I first get clean? Like 26, that whole, or 27, I think I was 27. That whole time, I was like, yeah, that's stupid. We're not doing that. That's crazy. Doing that. Yeah. I remember she would have like her birthday meetings or whatever, and I would go, hi. And I'm like, this is super culty. I don't like this at all. Everybody's chanting the same stuff, and everybody's, holding hands at the end and saying prayers. And I was like, yeah, this is not. She's tricked me into going to church before. She's tricked me into going to church again. I don't want to do that anymore.
Oh, man. When I first showed up at meetings, I was only going to this men's meeting. And it was just a bunch of men that kept telling me that they were going to love me till I could love myself. And then they'd sit around and hug each other and pray about it and do all those serenity prayer and things and talk about their feelings. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yep.
Yeah, that was strange. So you had your moment of clarity coming down, detoxing. What was the moment of surrender like? When did that happen?
Yeah, I would say that probably happened pretty fast after I got out. So I remember I got out of the hospital, and I told my mom I had the flu, right? I'm like, oh, I got a bad
I'm
flu.
sure she believed you.
She did. I don't know how. And but I knew I had to talk to her about it, and because she thought I was clean this whole time. Well, she knew I was. So when I relapsed, I started smoking weed for sleep, and so I told her about that. So she thought I was only smoking weed at the time, and yeah, I remember I told her, and then she's like, "You're coming to live with me for a while. Like, you're not staying where you are." And I didn't like that. I didn't want to do it, but I did it reluctantly. And then I think there was a point, maybe after the first or the second meeting, that she dragged me to, because when I first got clean, I had like all these excuses about why I didn't want to go to meetings and why I didn't like the recovery community and all these different things. And so I had that in my head, but I also had like a ton of shame and like guilt and like not wanting to see the people that I knew, that have like in my head, I'm like, oh, they probably thought I was clean this whole time, even though that's ridiculous. So I'm like, I'm not, so all these things are going through my head. But I think after like a couple meetings, because it had been a long time. Like, I hadn't wanted to admit I was an addict. And even the first time I got clean, I had years under my belt, and I still wasn't ready to admit that fact. And I think this time I was actually ready. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, I really am an addict. Because at this point, I've tried everything. Like, I tried everything before I got clean the first time, and then I tried it again with this recovery shit in my head. So I thought I was, like, better at, managing shit because of it. And that didn't work either. So I was like, I'm just going to do whatever I need to do at this point to stay clean, because that's the only thing I want right now. And so, yeah, at that point, I was like, you know what? My mom wants to live with me. I'm going to do it. Like, she wants to take me down to Seaside with a bunch of 60-year-old people for a convention in the middle of December. Like, I'm going to do it, She wants me to go to some dude's birthday meeting that's got a bunch of years because she thinks he's a good dude, and she kind of wants to nudge me into asking him to sponsor. I'm going to do it, you know. And so I just started doing that. But yeah, there was that moment. It took a couple meetings because I did the first one where I was really rough, and then I did another one on a Friday night in Canby. And my stepdad loves going out to eat after meetings. He's like, let's go get Mexican after the meeting. And so that was a rough night too, because I went with them. They're like, you're coming to get Mexican with us. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I just remember sitting at that table, and there was a guy from the meeting there, and he looks at me. He's like, "Shit, you don't want to be here, do you?" I was like, no, I really don't. And then after that, it was like, okay, if I'm willing, I got to be willing to do this. I got to be willing to go out to eat when I don't want to go to this place when I don't want to do it. Just whatever I can to stay clean, because I didn't want to go back to the point I was at before, because it's a scary place to be in, you know? So, yeah.
Just went full in.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing kind of happened with me, is that I was going to meetings and I was clean, but I was not participating.
Yeah.
And I was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would just leave the trailer park, go to the meeting, and come back and just watch reruns of episodes and play Grand Theft Auto all day. And I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I was miserable in my head. My insanity was still there. And, I can say that now because I know what it means. But,
yeah,
I just felt insane for a long time. And it wasn't until I started to participate, go to the Applebee's. I fucking hate Applebee's, but I also fucking love Applebee's.
People are obsessed with Applebee's, man. I swear.
Now that I'm older, I can't actually eat Applebee's because it tears me up.
Yeah.
It's bad. My wife hates it.
That's funny. We don't have Chili's, though, so it's our only choice.
Well, we were going out to Sherry's.
Oh, the classic.
The classic.
Hell, though.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right there with Denny's.
Got real bad real fast.
Obviously, we're not sponsored by Sherry's or Denny's.
No. I don't think Sherry's could sponsor anybody anymore.
No, it's only in Oregon. They're only gone in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're still in other places.
Yeah,
Good for them.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out. They got all right pie, I guess. And the only time Sherry's and Denny's is really good is after a mosh pit.
Oh, yeah.
2 o'clock in the
2
morning.
in the morning.
Yeah.
That's where it hits.
Yeah. After a music festival or something. Yeah, no. I did not start feeling better in my head until I started to participate. Applebee's, bowling, campouts, all that stuff. Once I got swooped up and kind of stuck in the middle, then my life got better. Yep. Weird. Out of the isolation.
It's a crazy concept, right?
So surrender and clarity. Is there anything that you would want to tell the person who is probably going to be going through this soon?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thanks. I thought of it in my head.
Yeah, I mean, there's things I would want to say, but I already, I can think back to when I was in that position. It's I'm not going to fucking listen, you know? So it's tough. I'm on saying anything because I know, there's nothing that anybody can say to me that would have made me ready before the moment I was ready myself, you know?
Yeah.
There's just, you could have told me, I'll give you $5 million if you could stay clean for a week. And I would have been done. And I would have been using 3 hours later. There's no way. There's nothing, you know?
Yeah.
I will say, I know detox sucks. And depending on how you find yourself in detox, if you have the ability to leave, don't, because it's tempting.
Give yourself a chance.
Yeah, it's pain is temporary, but chicks dig scars. You know,
dig scars. That's true. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I can't wait for my wife to hear that part. I got so many scars. All right, so I want to thank you for your time and your truth and your honesty. And what I'm trying to do is end these little episodes with like an in-depth question
that we ask.
No, that I ask you.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that tonight's question should be: would you have wanted to do it sooner?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like looking hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but oh man, I wish I would have got clean at. Oh. But then picking that point would be tough because I mean, there's people in the rooms that have said like, you know, their worst day clean is better than their best day using, and I'm not a believer in that.
That's factually not true.
Yeah, because I've had some of the best days in my early using days where like, you know, I wanted to be a rapper at one point, and so I was, you know, going on mini tours with Afro Man and, you know,
opening up for Bone forgot Thugs about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I had some fun nights, you know. Would those nights have been better if I wasn't using? I don't know. I think, but also like my career, my rap career was definitely hindered by the fact that I was using copious amounts of drugs. And if I would have been clean through that, like the number of opportunities that I had or that I could have had that I blew off because I was getting high, like, who knows where my life would be, you know? But yeah, I think if I could have got clean like way earlier, you know, like 20, if I got clean at 22, man, that's crazy to think about, you know. But yeah, I wasn't ready, so that I wouldn't have stayed clean, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that for me, I appreciate all of the things that brought me to this point and made me the person that I am.
Yeah.
I'm a very resilient individual.
Mm-hmm.
And I think due to all the things that I've seen and gone through, that I'm very empathetic to people. And I'm not sure that I would be the same person had I not gone through all those things.
Facts. Yeah.
So
I'm glad I didn't grow up rich, and that's why, you know.
I wish I wouldn't have had the felonies.
Sure.
For sure, that created some roadblocks, but I'm not sure that without the felonies, I would have had the drive that I have today.
Sure.
Because felonies are beatable, and I'm no longer a felon today.
Hell yeah.
And it taught me to, like, just keep pushing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like I said, I see people that have grown up with like lots of money and opportunity and like taking that shit for granted. And there's nothing I don't take for granted. And a big part of that is like going through the things that I went through, you know. So
I am very grateful for all of the things and opportunities that I have today and all the people that I get to like just impact and have relationships with.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have that.
Yeah. You want to be able to relate to a lot of other people too without having those experiences. So it's a good point.
Thought provoking.
Yeah, for sure.
But alas, it happened the way it did. So
yeah. Can't change it now.
Can't change it now. All right. Thanks, David, for sharing your story.
Yes, sir. Anytime, buddy.
Being my first official episode.
Save the best for first.
That's right.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Thanks for listening in. I hope you found something that helps you. I hope you keep checking it out. We're going to have a lot more stuff going on. And yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Later.